using laser pointer, stepping on the bench, and standing on it. Thank you for your cooperation and enjoy the event.
Super 1000s are badminton's gold standard, and the first day of the Indonesian Open always has a very special feel. Welcome to Jakarta for the opening day of action with some of the world's biggest stars centre stage. Inside the famous Istora Arena, crowd goes absolutely nuts, especially when there are home players involved. This is the 43rd edition, incidentally, of the Indonesia Open. And our thanks to Rinjani Quinara Nasteen for bringing out the HSBC BWF World Tour Finals trophy. They'll be playing for that in China just before Christmas. One of Indonesia's junior players. Well, here's our lineup then, kicking off with the world's #1 woman, An Se-young. But how will she react to losing for the first time this year last week? Busanan Ongbamrungphan is keen to find out. Then it's the best man on the planet, at least for now. Shi Yuqi is about to sacrifice his world top spot, but he's still a huge favourite against the out-of-form Lakshya Sen. Back to the women after that, and a 21st meeting between PV Sindhu and Nozomi Okuhara. The Indians only won 1 of her last 10 matches. Women's doubles to follow, Apriyani Rahayu continuing to mentor 21-year-old Febi Setyeningrum. They face the ultra-experienced Shang and Yang. Before it's back to singles, Lee Chuk-yu, a quarter-finalist in Singapore last week, against the Japanese Koki Watanabe, playing only his 5th event of the year. 5 more matches after that, in the company of Jill Clark and Steen Pedersen. We'll see the likes of Jonathan Christie. That Naroka Genka match looks good, and there's plenty of doubles as well to get your teeth into. Here's the women's draw. We are concentrating on that top quarter and the top match, featuring the world's #1, An Se-young, against Busanan Ongbamrungphan. There is An Se-young, who lost in the quarter-final last week to Chen Yufei. That ended her unbeaten run for 2025. My name's Trevor Harris, alongside Bobby Griffin, and Bobby, maybe that defeat, it seems funny to say it, but may have just taken a little bit of pressure off the world #1, because all kinds of experts were predicting an unbeaten year and all this kind of thing, unprecedented that. and now she doesn't have that millstone around her neck anymore, so to speak.
Well, I'm not really sure how she will react. It was a great question you said in the introduction. It was a massive result last week, ending that unbeaten run, as you said, and actually it was her first quarter-final defeat since the China Masters way back in November of 23. So it's been 18 months since she's lost out in a tournament of that size in the quarter-final stages. That's huge.
Had a free weekend for once in her life.
Yeah, she's had a couple of days off. Fantastic.
The head-to-head, by the way, as we look at Ongbamrungphan, it's 7-love in favour of An Se-young. Their last meeting was at the Asian Championships last year. First met, actually, back in 2019, so they've been duelling for quite a while. Latif Johari of Indonesia is the man in the umpire's chair for this opener. And Sudip Bave, who was on duty in Singapore last week, is the service judge. There he is. "27 World Tour titles for An Se-young since 2018. It's quite astonishing. And she's already won 2 Super 1000 events this year. Still going for the Grand Slam of Super 1000s, having won in Malaysia and then in Birmingham.
It's an incredible career already, still only 23 years of age. And, you know, the reigning world champion, Olympic champion, and that amazing win-loss ratio that she has as well. She really is... Well, she has the potential, An Se-young, to be regarded as potentially the best women's singles player in history if she can continue some kind of form throughout the sort of middle stages of her career and obviously further on.
Yeah, and stay fit, obviously, which is the other massive consideration. Ongbamrungphan has 4 World Tour titles, most recently last year when she won the Canadian Open. And that was a Super 500. This year, though, not been particularly impressive. Best she's managed is a quarter-final at the Thai Open.
It'd be nice to see how An Se-young reacts from that. If there was ever a day in which you'd like to play An Se-young in round 1 of an event, it would be after that defeat last week. And the manner of which... I watched the match back last night, actually, against Chen Yufei, that quarter-final at the Singapore Open. And it was a really surprising performance. An Se-young really was not at her best. There didn't seem to be any physical problems. Just struggled to keep the shuttle in play.
An Se-young, Korea. And on my left, Busanan Ongbamrungphan, Thailand. Busanan Ongbamrungphan to serve, level, play.
Yeah, I think it was just the way that Chen Yufei approached that match, just attacked her, and I don't think An Se-young was expecting it. Whether Ongbamrungphan has the wherewithal to do that, you would have to doubt, and that's not the most auspicious of starts with the service error.
Well, she's looking as well to be only the 2nd Thai player in history to win this event. I mean, obviously it's day 1, there's a long way to go. But Intanon took this back in, I think it was 2014 or 15. It'd be nice to see Ongbamrungphan do well here.
Well, unforced errors almost certainly will be at a premium, so Ongbamrungphan needs to take advantage of those kind of mistakes by the Olympic champion.
That's a lovely shot, that hold, that deception. Taking it late up the line from An Se-young.
2-1.
And the other thing is, from Ongbamrungphan's point of view, when you've lost 7 out of 7 against any specific opponent, you just wonder how much self-belief she has.
And she's never won a game as well, not just 7 defeats, but she's never actually taken a single game off An Se-young. So there is a huge pressure. Just a quick word on the fresh look here, by the way, the Indonesia Open. Copying, so to speak, the All England with the grey mats. We've got the blue courts out here in the Istora this year. And it's nice to see these kind of Super 1000, these Grand Slam events of badminton starting to individualise themselves.
3-2.
I think it's important from the Thai's point of view that she doesn't let An Se-young get off to a flyer because she's such a good front runner, the Korean.
Yeah, she's actually, she's more likely to sort of start slower, An Se-young. We've seen that so many times in matches where she's been behind at the break, either, you know, dropped the first or at least clawed it back. But if she does get off to a good start, she's potentially the worst player in the world to then come back against, because she's so fluid. You mentioned the risk of injuries for An Se-young. She's such a great mover. She's so balanced, so strong even on the full lunge. If there was anybody that could have that longevity in her career in protecting their body, she's definitely one of those types of players.
Yeah, and the other thing about her is she makes a surprising error. And we say it in other sports as well. Tennis, cricket are two good examples. She seems to have more time than virtually any other player to play shots. Somehow, and it's one of those things that's really hard to kind of define, but she does.
It's an amazing ability, and it all comes from, well, there's court craft involved. Obviously, there's a lot of work going on mentally, but the fact that she's so fluid, her footwork is almost perfect. It just puts her in that position where even when you think you've got her, she comes out with something incredible in defense as well. She's not just great at moving, she's also got one of the best defenses in the women's game. It makes her such a difficult opponent to beat. That was a good length off the tight net shot from the tie.
Just to point out, we do have Hawkeye in play this week, so both women would have 2 challenges per game. And if they successfully challenge, they keep that particular challenge. Lovely shot.
That is lovely. There was one lift from Ongbamrungphan that was quite short early on in the rally, and after that point, it was all An Se-young, just dominant in attack.
Just about to say, I think actually Ongbamrungphan started quite well. Some nice little net shots. Okay, benefited from a few unforced errors from the Korean, but nonetheless, doesn't look to be intimidated out there.
No, she doesn't, and there has been 2 or 3. Oh, there's that backhand again from An Se-young, just brilliant. There has been a couple of mistakes from the Korean, and I mean, at the very least, Ongbamrungphan has to just start strong. She has to fight for every point. She has to get herself into a position where she can sneak something at the end of these games. The risk is for the tie. I mean, if she goes too early, if she tries too hard to win the point early, the counter-attack from the Korean is always going to do tons of damage. So
6-7.
Anybody that can take the initiative against An Se-young is doing well, and we saw it last week with Chen Yufei. I mean, she was terrific last week.
Surprising.
7-all.
It's a couple of errors in a row from the world #1, and that's the kind of thing that will give Ongbamrungphan confidence when she sees this kind of thing coming from the other side of the net.
Use your foot.
It's quite strange to see the percentage of errors, the number of errors coming from An Se-young. Not just so far in this match. I mean, we've only been playing a few minutes, but watching that quarter-final last night against Chen Yufei, that was what I was most surprised about. Yes, Chen Yufei had a terrific game, but An Se-young on her day would not have gone for the lines in the way she did in that quarterfinal last week. And she made some pretty bad errors too.
Good play again here from the tie. That's magnificent. That's asking a serious question of the world and Olympic champion.
8-7.
Well, she really had An Se-young on the ropes there. Nice to see Ongbamrungphan have the ability to turn the rally around and then maintain that attack.
Service over. 8-all. Nine, 8.
Well, that's been 2 points, 2 rallies in a row where Ongbamrungphan perhaps has just squeezed a bit too tight. She's trying a little bit too hard to play an aggressive shot. It's very hard mentally, but she has to find a way to control herself here when she gets those chances to just keep the rally going, because as we've seen so far in the match and also last week, An Se-young is very capable at the moment of making errors. That's a lovely shot. I thought the tie's lift into the corner was nice. It was accurate, it was powerful, but the reply from An Se-young was even better.
It was. That was quite bad misjudgment, though. That was in by a long way. I think the other thing about that An Se-young defeat to Chen Yufei is it just shows, you know, players are not robots. They're not automatons. It's not a case of turn up and win just because, you know, by most people's points of view, you're the best player in the world. And it kind of just shows you even the best are fallible in sport.
I haven't heard much media from An Se-young over the last sort of few days. That's a great attack. But
11-8 in the vault.
I'd like to understand her reasons for the performance and how honest she might have been about how she played last week. It'd be great for us to know exactly what's going on in An Se-young's head.
Well, she's usually very, very open and very honest. Some of the comments she made after the Olympics, which weren't hugely favourable to the Korean Federation. That's kind of water under the bridge now. But she tells it like it is. And she has a small little cushion here at the mid-game break.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds. Busanan.
The other key as well, of course, is to win when you're not playing at your best. No question that An Se-young was a little below par by her own ridiculously high standards in the first half of this opening game, but still finds herself out in front. But ooh,
well, that doesn't look good.
Ooh, ooh.
Serve 9-11.
Sharp intake of breath all around the arena. She's okay.
Well, we were speaking with colleagues this morning who mentioned that these new blue mats, obviously making a statement for the Indonesia Open, are literally brand new. And it takes a while for court mats to kind of bed in. They can either be a bit slippy because they've got that sheen on the top, or where they start to grip, they almost become too sticky. And I think it looked like An Se-young got caught there. She just sort of tripped over her own feet because she got stuck on the mat somehow.
Well, she's also asking the guy with the mop to come back out because we can see it from here. There's still some moisture on there. Yeah, that's a good move. Because what you don't want is to have in the back of your mind that there's going to be an issue with your footwork.
No, absolutely, and it certainly won't help her sort of mental state right now after that defeat last week.
Thank you.
Losing finalist here this last year, of course, to Chen Yufei. So there's quite a lot of pressure on the tournament for An Se-young after the performances of Singapore and Indonesia a year ago. She needs to do well here.
Chair umpire asked her if she was okay. She gave him the thumbs up, which was great to see.
Good anticipation.
12-9.
Pushing that shot deep into the forehand corner first, and then she was edging forwards, expecting the reply to be at the net.
Beautiful shot, lovely weighted shot from the Korean.
13-9.
Yeah, this was absolutely terrific. Backhand layoff first, and then the disguise. She's so disguised with that forehand. And the shot quality was top class as well. Well, that's the recovery I was talking about, that fluidity of movement, because the punch clear from Ongbamrungphan was brilliant. It really got An Se-young into a weakened position, but one shot in reply completely turns it around. She makes it look so easy.
It's a brilliant net shot from An Se-young, nothing that the Thai could do.
15-9.
Just starting to show her class now, the Korean.
In many ways, this is the perfect matchup for An Se-young. Day one of the Indonesia Open.
16-9.
The reasons being, Ongbamrungphan is a terrific competitor. You know what you're going to expect. She's a good player. She's outside the top 12 at the moment. Yes, she's dropped 2 places in the rankings from the top 10, but An Se-young's got that track record. She's always beaten her. She's always beaten her in straight games. So if there is a kind of measure after the defeat last week in the quarterfinals to come back and establish yourself, to get that confidence back, this is the perfect opponent.
Yeah, and usually she would play on the second day of the Super 1000 because she'd have been involved in, at the very least, the semi-finals and probably the final of the previous week's tournament. But because she went out in the quarters, means she's playing on the first day, which means she gets a day off tomorrow, and assuming she comes through here, she doesn't have to play again until Thursday.
17-10.
Yeah, as you said earlier, she's had a couple of days off to sort of refocus, to get herself finely tuned again physically, and to have that day off tomorrow as well, and to have the opponent she's got here today. Assuming she comes through this match, it couldn't have been a better start to the week.
Yeah, and we start early in the morning here in Jakarta. It's 9 AM we started local time, so the way things are going, we're back in time for a late breakfast. Well, that's just the third point that Ongbamrungphan has won since the mid-game break, and it kind of feels like that now, doesn't it? It feels like An Se-young is completely in the ascendancy.
Great shot. What's a return of serve around the head position again, and that's where that not just deception comes in, but we saw that winner earlier. She played a slow, straight drop with a bit of slice. This time just went heavy cross. Ongbamrungphan nowhere near it.
Thank you. Serve 12-19.
Well, there's been a couple of occasions where An Se-young has played a slightly weakened shot. Not a lot of shot quality on that penultimate shot from An Se-young there, and previously in the match she's gotten away with it with something terrific 1 or 2 shots later. This time Ongbamrungphan just dispatched that cross drive.
That's out the back, and that's going to bring up 8 game points for the number 1 seed.
20, game point 12.
Oh, well, that would have been potentially a shot of the week had it found the sideline, but it didn't.
13-20.
Well, when you've got 8 points to play with, I think we can forgive her for trying something a little special. That was an unusual return of serve. I think she looked a bit slow physically for a moment there, An Se-young. Brilliant.
14-20.
Like this from Ongbamrungphan, not just going to roll over, facing a whole multitude of game points. Keeping An Se-young waiting to confirm this opening game and maybe sowing the odd seed of doubt.
Well, there's always a good chance, an opportunity for Ongbamrungphan being so far behind to use the time wisely, to find out how she's going to beat the Korean, but it's not to be.
So 21-14 in the end, comfortable first game for the world number 1, although it started a little slowly, but as Bobby said, she improved gradually, and so she has a 1-game lead over the tie.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is she's nowhere near playing her best right now either. An Se-young's made a few mistakes early on in the opening game, and also there were a few shots in the middle there which lacked the quality we're used to seeing. So to come through with the win the way she did in the first is a sign of a true champion.
Court-attendant. Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds. Second game, level, play. Service over. 1 love.
It's got to be the longest rally we've seen in the match so far. Oh, he's
Just the wrong side of the line.
yeah, well left.
Service over. 1-all.
I was fascinated to see during the interval that Ongbamrungphan didn't have any coaching staff down there with her today. I'm not sure if that's because there's Thailand representation on court 2 at the moment, and so the coaching staff are busy over there, or perhaps something else is going on. It might be that she's an independent player from the federation. I don't think that's the case, but it might be.
Good judgment again from Anse-Yeung.
1.
Tell you what, our colleagues at Hawkeye could have had a lion this morning, couldn't they? We haven't had any challenges so far, either player.
That is wild. What on earth was that from Anse-Yeung?
That was, I think, on the green carpet that landed.
She had plenty of time. She was in good position. Often you see those kind of mistakes when a player chooses to attack, when they're sort of off balance, out of position. She looked quite good there, so...
Nothing wrong with the judgment, though.
4-2.
Bit of a cheap point, that, really, after Ongbamrungphan got that gift on the previous point.
And again, that is way right.
Service over. 3-4.
I've certainly never seen Anse-Yeung make so many sort of cheap mistakes. Both today and that quarter-final last week. And okay, last week's quarter-final, you're playing against Chen Yufei. Whilst she's not currently at the top of the rankings, that might have hit the line. No challenge?
No, it missed by a little bit, and that was a chance too, big chance. And if she wants to get back into this match, those are the opportunities she really must capitalise on.
Yeah, I mentioned it briefly at the start of the first, where you could see Anse-Yeung is still looking a little unsettled. Now's the time to focus and apply some pressure, but do it in a conservative way. If your opponent's making errors, your job is just to maintain the attack, keep the rally going as long as possible. Too many mistakes from Ongbamrungphan as well.
Now she's missed the other side.
Well, that's the kind of thing we saw last week against Chen Yufei in that quarter-final. Not quite in great position, slightly off balance arguably, but going for that attack so early and missing wildly, that's not the Anse-Yeung we're used to seeing. Really poor leave. I think that looked well in, didn't it?
It was. It was.
This is a bit more like the An Se-young. She's had chances there to hit hard or apply more pressure. She chooses not to, and that's typical of the Korean. She's happy normally. Oh! I thought I was going to come back for a moment.
Yeah, but this is really purposeful play from Ongbamrungphan. She's obviously realised that An Se-young's struggling here in this second game. Very proactive on that previous rally.
I've been interested to see how the change of ends might have affected things out here. The Istora is known for its sort of variable conditions in terms of drift, shuttle movement. There's not a great deal left to right as far as I can see, or right to left so far in the match. But for some reason, An Se-young looks like a slightly different player at the start of this second than she did in the way she finished the first.
That's the An Se-young of old.
7-6.
Good use of that punch clear. From a pretty good length, but you could see how Ongbamrungphan was struggling in defence.
Serve 7-all.
It strikes me that at times, not every rally, but at times, An Se-young is trying to finish the rally early. I wonder if there is some kind of physical issue there that we're unaware of that makes her want to get through the matches quickly.
I was going to say, trying to finish the rally early, trying to finish the match early as well.
That's brutal attacking play from the Korean.
8-7.
Yeah, Jurin pushed her back and then punished that backhand.
Yeah, that punch clear is working fabulously well today for An Se-young. It's a pretty good lift from that position, but
9-7.
conservative attack from An Se-young just to keep Ongbamrungphan off balance.
Could have gone either side with that.
10.
Yeah, the lift was very, very short. Look where An Se-young is hitting that smash well inside the back tram lines.
That's long, and it's going to be a 4-point lead for An Se-young. Took the last 4 points. And at the mid-game break, she is comfortably ahead.
Service over, 8-10.
Port 1, 20 seconds. Port 1, 20 seconds. (11-7). Play.
That's a clever shot.
That's over. 8-11.
Now or never for Ongbamrungphan if she wants to get back into this match.
It's a really good period for Thailand's women's singles at the moment. I don't think I can remember a time previously, certainly in the modern era, where there are 4 players from Thailand inside the top 12 in the rankings. We so often see that from China and Japan in women's singles in particular. But for Ongbamrungphan, she's actually the 4th as well.
Yeah, I watched Ratchanok Intanon in Singapore last week, and she looked to be, let's say, back to her absolute best, but certainly played as well as I've seen her for some while.
Yeah, and back inside the top 10 as well now, Intanon. Chochawong at 7, and Katatong, who has caused problems for An Se-young in the past, at rank number 9, Ongbamrungphan at 12, and of course we've got the youngster, Opat Nipu, coming up. World Junior Champion a year young a couple of years ago, and hopefully for Thailand a star for the future. So it's a really great period for Thailand in terms of women's singles. Little bit of extra power from Busanan.
Not just the Thai women, because of course Philippson's potentially going to be world #1 when the new rankings are released on the men's side.
Well, I've done some humble mathematics on that this morning, and yeah, it's certainly worth talking about when we get to the Shiyu Chi match in what might be 10 or 15 minutes time.
That's very nicely judged.
That's 13-10.
Absolutely bang on the line.
Well, that is a big high clear from Ongbamrungphan. And the high lift. I think the tactics have changed slightly in defence for the Thai. She's trying something different.
Well, as you said, there's no coach, so if she is, it's something she's worked out for herself.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've noticed, I've talked about already how An Se-young has been very aggressive with the clear. There's lots of different types of clear. There's the sort of just mediocre, get it to the back line. You can go super high to try and force the shuttle to fall almost vertically, which, if you get a good length, it's very difficult to attack from. And then, of course, there's the punch clear, the attacking one to get your opponent on the back foot, which we've seen a lot of today from An Se-young. There's another one.
(15-10).
There we go. Forcing Busanan to have to take that on the backhand. If the clear had been higher, she could have got round the head and played a forehand shots, and that's where An Se-young has seen quite a lot of value today. Well, that was a pretty
16,
awful
10.
miss under no pressure.
Yeah, that was a kind of the end is nigh kind of shot, wasn't it? I think the fight may have gone out of Ongbamrungphan a little bit here. Every time she's kind of looked like she's going to put a bit of pressure on An Se-young, the Korean just
17,
ups that level
10.
slightly. That's what the best players do.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it earlier on. It's a sign of true great players or sports teams, for example, where you're not playing at your best, you still find a way to come through with the win. And it hasn't been An Se-young's very best today,
18, 10.
but arguably she's not being pushed or tested as we've seen her by different opponents, and so she hasn't needed to be at that level. But the scoreline suggests it's a very dominant and confident performance.
Thought she might have used a challenge there, that last point. I mean, nothing to lose at this stage. It looked close. Anyhow, she trusted the line judge. I mean, it was 12-10 about 2 minutes ago, and now An Se-young's not far away from getting across the line.
Well, I would say great defence from An Se-young, but actually the attack from Busanan has been very, not predictable, but close to the body, but not at the body. That's a great rally. Oh,
Still going, but she's got she's knocked it in. Well, at least she could smile,
19, 10.
but oh wow. both enjoyed that. What an improbable point in the end for An Se-young. Looked like Ongbamrungphan had to make that.
I don't think An Se-young expected the quality of that shot. Both of them had chances to win the rally at times. What a shame for Busanan to miss as badly as she did at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from her point of view, had she had it been a lot closer, it would have been a more painful
Match
miss.
point.
As it is,
10.
10 match points for the world number one.
That's over. 11-20.
That's another good rally. Terrific net shot.
Well, she may only have been in second gear, but it's been good enough from An Se-young, who responds to losing her first match of the year last week in Singapore with a comfortable straight game success over Busanan Ongbamrungphan, 21-11 in that second game. You fancy the Korean will only get better as the tournament goes on, and I think from her point of view, just to get through was the main thing today.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely
Match
right.
won by
The job
An
is
Se-young.
done. It wasn't the
21-14,
finest performance we've seen from An Se-young.
21-11.
The scoreline, I would say, flatters her slightly. However, the true great players find a way to win. She's done more than that today, and I think An Se-young at her very best, the scoreline could have looked very, very dominant indeed.
So we'll see her again on Thursday in the round of 16. She wins 21-14, 21-11, and detained us for only 40 minutes on court one. welcome back to the Istora here in Jakarta. Very warm outside and pretty warm here in terms of how the action is likely to evolve as we go through the next 6 days. We've reached match 2 on our opening day, and it features the men's number 1, Chi up against Lakshya Sen of India.